We are live.
All right. Good to be back in studio.
Welcome back, Jay.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, not all of us can afford to go up to Utah and spend their Christmas up in a cabin, a luxurious cabin in Utah with the family, but it must be nice.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me back, guys.
Well, welcome back. We have a new friendly face in studio, filling in for Steve this time. Steve is out, so I guess that means next week I can take off?
You know what?
Jay was off, Steve was off.
For New Year's, take it off.
Done. I'm taking New Year's off.
Day off.
I live for this. I can't get enough of it. I'll be here.
Yeah, you'll be here. I know.
You know I
You
will.
can't stay away.
Jake, welcome to the podcast. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm here in studio hanging out with Jimmy. I've been doing some breaking with Jimmy the last couple of weeks when he likes to take days off. And, I've been collecting cards and doing the card thing for about 20 years now.
So who's your guy that you can't miss on this year? The one person that if you were going to invest and buy a card in, who's that one guy that you think that you can't miss on?
Any sport.
Any sport.
Any sport? Honestly, I think it's Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
I think his stuff is all down right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good value. He's only had 2 healthy receivers at any given time. His number one receiver got hurt in week 3.
Yep.
Chark is out. I mean, he was throwing to Marvin Jones and some other
Nobody.
this week. Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, a guy who the Lions didn't want to pay. So,
And if the Lions don't want you,
Yeah,
you're pretty
so-
bad.
Laquan Treadwell was our number one. I was
Yeah.
like, this is bad.
yeah, that's solid. I mean, good old Laquan.
Yeah.
That makes for a rough go of it if you're Trevor Lawrence, and especially you get a rookie coach who is out grabbing girls' butts and kicking kickers in the leg.
Jimmy, it's all about the grind, okay? It's all about
It's
the
like,
grind.
what the hell is this guy
Yeah,
doing?
he had a tough time, man.
Yeah, so we'll see what Trevor Lawrence does year 2. I do like that as well. I think his stuff is down. You could actually get his stuff in breaks now for cheaper than the Mac Jones stuff and even some of the other teams. He's fallen down a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. You look at the 5 big teams in any card break, and it's Patriots are 2 times more than the Jaguars, but Jaguars have 2 solid players in Lawrence and Etienne, who's going to be he's going to be solid next year.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets about him. So, you're not just getting
You're not
Lawrence.
just getting Lawrence, you're getting Etienne, and
Right.
And especially with James Robinson blowing out his Achilles.
Yeah, he's out for the
So
year.
that means he's done for the rest of this year. He's not going to be back for the start of next year.
No, it'll
So
be the majority of next year he'll be out too.
So it'll be all Travis Etienne or Etienne, however you want to.
and maybe like the rookie, or hopefully not Carlos Hyde.
We'll see what happens there.
Well, Carlos Hyde's he's going to be 33 by the end of next or by the
Yeah.
start of next season. So, right now they're left with Dare Agumbawale as their number one. So,
Yeah.
He's a real solid.
Thanks for saying that last name because
You like that?
You know it wasn't coming out of my
Dario.
mouth.
I
Dario.
knew it wasn't coming.
Dario.
It wasn't going to be said right. And you
No,
did say
it definitely
so.
wasn't going to be said
I
right
should've let you just
or
say
out of
it.
my mouth. So Jay, let's get it right into what did you see this weekend?
I saw what most of us saw, and that was Joe Burrow go absolutely nuts against the depleted Baltimore Ravens defense. Okay, I will say depleted. Look at there he is. Look at this Christmas Joe wearing his SpongeBob SquarePants.
The Krusty Krab, baby.
Yeah. So the Joe Burrow, everyone saw what he did, right? 525 yards passing, 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. The only quarterback to do that with those kind of stats without throwing an interception, obviously. Now, he did get a little bit, and I just read this morning, he did get a little bit of billboard material, right, from Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. Knowing that you have all these players out on your defense, he still went out and made the comment, I don't know if you saw this or not, the defensive coordinator said, it's not like we're going against a future Hall of Famer here.
Oh.
And then Joe Burrow proceeded to go
It wasn't-
light him up.
I don't think it was taken out of context, but he said, we're not fitting this guy for a Hall of Fame jacket anytime soon. But
Same
still,
thing.
But basically,
You foot in mouth.
I
He
mean, are you
definitely
trying to get
knows.
him fired up? Like, you could
Yeah.
just be like, hey, Joe Burrow's a really special quarterback. We're going to have to scheme a different way for him because he's a good player. Instead, he went out and said he's not going to be a Hall of Famer anytime soon.
I'm
So,
not chasing
So-
what we do.
So what he
Right.
did was the total opposite of what Belichick teaches all of his coaches. You praise
Right.
everybody and you just smash them all into the
correct.
ground.
He did the exact opposite. And Joe Burrow went out there. Like, it got to a point to where, and I'm not saying that Harbaugh wouldn't do this himself,
Oh, yeah.
but it got to a point to where they were up by 20 points in the fourth quarter, and they were running empty sets out of the backfield. So, they were still in throw mode, up by 20 in the fourth quarter, and Burrow was still in the game.
Yeah.
So they had a point to prove, obviously, because they could have pulled Burrow. They could have pulled Burrow out of the game. They could have said, you know what, let's take our foot off the gas and put in Samaje Perine to run the ball a little bit and Joe Mixon. They didn't. They wanted to throw still.
I think he, at that point in the fourth quarter, he's like, well, there's only another 40 yards to go for breaking the Bengals record and and embarrassing them. And
That's what I said.
when it comes down to like the playoffs and all the tiebreakers, those points scored will matter at some point.
Well, Harbaugh did the same thing against the Broncos
Correct.
too. When we got the rushing number with Lamar Jackson that the Broncos were all pissed off about. So I'm sure Harbaugh understands it. He can't get mad about it because they were trying to break a record, just like he was trying to break a record. It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're right. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens here. In the,
Good for the Bengals.
This isn't going to be the last time these two teams meet.
No.
And they might meet up in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens when they meet up in the playoffs.
If Miami wins tonight, though, Baltimore goes back into the hunt, not in the number 7 spot. So I'm curious to see what happens there.
Speaking about Las Vegas and our Raiders, what do you guys think about our shots to make the playoffs?
I don't think it's there.
I think it's less than 15%.
Yeah.
I think it's just too many tiebreakers they don't own.
Mm-hmm.
They do have it with the Steelers and the Ravens, but everyone else.
They controlled their own destiny throughout the year. All those games that they lost by last-second field goals and bullcrap turneyovers, they shot themselves in the foot.
Correct.
Really.
A lot of winnable games they should have won and they didn't, and that's what's going to get you out of the playoffs.
Right, and they're on the cusp. They're not a great team. They would be one and done in the playoffs anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good to see them beat the Broncos yesterday. I was happy to see that because Brandon was there, and I just wanted him to, be a little sad leaving the game. Him being a Broncos fan, I definitely didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to see him go in there and watch them get a win. That's for sure.
They'll be back because they're a young team. Besides Deshaun Jackson, obviously, but they're a young team. So like, if you add a good receiver, obviously to replace the Henry Ruggs mistake, I think they'll be just fine next year.
Jake, what did you see this weekend? Is there anything that stood out from what you saw over the weekend?
I think you saw the good teams look like good teams this weekend. They separate themselves. You saw mediocrity in coaching in the Chargers game. I mean, oh my God! Both of us thought this. We were hoping Steve was going to be sitting in that chair today.
Steve's a Chargers fan. I don't know if you know that or not, but that's why I'm so glad you brought up the Chargers thing because he's probably at home biting his pillow right now, mad about this.
Ready to throw something against the wall.
Just because you go for it in Madden's not like
what is the deal with the coach going for it all the time on 4th down?
I get it. Points. Like, you want to go for it, but I mean, you've got 3 points there. Given from 24-yard field goal, kick the field goal. You're up 10 points at that point in the game. Rex Burkhead can't run for 155 yards on you in a game, especially when there's no receiver, there's 3 tight ends, and there's no receiver sets out there, and you're like, well, guess what's going to happen? We're going to give Rex Burkhead. He's running for 35 yards in the fourth quarter when all you need is one more stop to get the ball back and a chance to win the game. You're down 5, and you let Rex Burkhead run down the field for 55 yards.
The whole game. I mean, he ended with 149 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Rex Burkhead. They made David Johnson an inactive, so you didn't even have to worry about David Johnson and the dual threat of him. And then their number 1 receivers like Philip Dorsett, because Brandon Cooks was out.
Yeah.
So you had no Brandon Cooks, no David Johnson,
and they were making catches
and
that
a
were
rookie
like
quarterback.
Some spectacular falling down. I watched one of the catches. Mm-hmm. The guy was literally falling down on his back, and the ball just
blink
right in his lap. It's like, what the?
Charger fans were probably going to blame that not having Austin Eckler there and obviously not having Mike Williams there. But they still had Keenan Allen, and they still had their tight end Jared Cook, and they still had Justin Jackson, who I thought played well.
Who has all their players right now? During this COVID time, during all the injury time, nobody's full lineups. Nobody has everybody
They made
there.
Davis Mills look like a superstar.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, if you look at, eBay and all those other things, Davis Mills cards were just popping off last night.
No, 100%. Like, it was one of those things where it was like, you watch the game, you're like, this is a game where the Chargers should go out there, show we're a playoff team, show we're better than everyone else. We're put up 35, only give up 17, win the game 35-17, and go back to LA and be cloud 9. Because guess what? Now they control their own destiny into the playoffs. Yeah. Now they're not. They're out. They have no chance.
You have to go out there and show that you can beat the bad teams too, not just be like, oh, just show up. Like, you have to go beat those teams.
Oh, Steve's already started.
I knew
Davis Mills, seriously. Dude, game plan. Home Alone blueprints. Yes, 100%. It was a tragedy watching that game yesterday and seeing how it ended up. What I saw this weekend, let's go. I'm throwing the jinx out there now.
Don't do it.
We, them island boys. Holy cow. Like, that's one team, and I'm telling you right now, you do not want to see the Cowboys in the playoffs. You do not. They play their defense. is top notch. That defense can come out there and shut you down, and their offense doesn't get in any trouble.
He's going
throw
hard
picks.
on the jinx here. Like
Big time.
you're trying to make it believable.
I want everybody to think
like he really believes it. Like,
they're going to win
face.
the Super Bowl. They are going to win the Super Bowl.
I would say I would bet Cowboys against every team but the Buccaneers, just because they stop the run and they make it very predictable, and they'll have most of their cornerbacks back. But like a Packers, they would run all over the Packers.
Jay and I talked about it this morning. I said if Green Bay and Dallas meet up, Dallas wins that game by 20. They will run, not with just Ezekiel Elliott.
Tony Pollard's
but Tony
probably
Pollard
too.
has a burst.
Yeah,
that
but
guy's
he's hurt
fast.
explosive.
Yeah, but he'll be back for the playoffs.
He played yesterday a little bit.
Yeah, he did, but it's his foot, so it's
Yeah.
like he's going to lose some of that speed.
But now that they have everything locked in, they don't have to play him next week.
Right, they should rest him.
So they'll rest him, and they might end up getting the first round bye if they keep winning.
If they win next week, I think they almost all but secure a first round bye.
No, only the number 1 seed gets a first round bye.
Yeah,
and the Packers
so
have
Packers,
the
right.
Packers have the number 1 seed right now. If the Packers would have lost to the Browns yesterday,
Oh, I thought they
or
had to
Saturday,
lose first to
No,
get
I
it.
forgot. Because it's 7 teams now, right?
Yeah, it's 7
So-
teams in the
Oh,
playoffs. The
that's
Packers
right.
are
You
12
are
and
right.
3, and the Cowboys, Buccaneers, Rams are all 11 and 4.
And then Green Bay has the tiebreaker over the Cowboys.
I don't know if they have the tiebreaker.
Best
with the Cowboys.
divisional record, so it should be the Cowboys.
It should be because the Cowboys are undefeated in their division.
Yeah, they'll be 6-0.
Right.
So we'll look into that for next week. But
And I didn't say a word last week about the Cowboys beating the Giants either. And you were right when you said on the show last week that I would be the type of guy that would come here and not say anything because it's so unimportant.
it would like just
Yes.
twist the knife a little further and further. And
So I would come in and not say anything because you were
Right.
expected the entire time.
I knew
But I
it.
wouldn't have.
That's what I said. Jay's the
I
type
wouldn't
of
have said
guy
a
that
word.
would not say a word to me and just know that it's eating me up
Yes.
inside. But yes. So moving on in, we're going into the plus and minus factor of the weekend.
Plus or minus?
So Steve's not here, and I wasn't able to upload his video because it was just taking too long. But we're going to talk about a couple guys that I think you should invest in right away. Number one, Joe Burrow. His stuff is still, it's on the higher price range, but he's still selling for about 30 to 35% less than what the Herbert stuff is selling for. And right now, he's showing to be the number one overall pick.
They're first in the AFC North. And the Chargers look like they're not going to make the playoffs right now, right? And Burrow's got his team primed for what looks to be a decent playoff run if they can get a couple of good matchups in there. So I agree with you on that. Burrow looks like he's just as good, if not better, than Herbert at this point. So it's those two guys are neck and neck as far as I'm concerned.
And you look at their offense. I was looking at it this morning before I came in. They have all their offensive weapons are under 25 years old. That means they are going to have this core group for the next 3 to 4 years.
They're all on their rookie contracts, yeah.
That
Except
they're
for
going to
Boyd.
be So you're going to be able
Boyd's on his
to
way out.
ride these guys out the whole way through with Joe Burrow. T. Higgins. What's the
Jamar
Jamar
Chase,
Chase?
yep.
These kids are studs. They're
Joe Mixon at running backs is killing it this year.
100%. So buy your Joe Burrow cards. I know they're expensive. They're not cheap. Go out and get them. Hold them because he looks like he's going to have a great career.
Yeah.
What's one of your investments that you guys think? I know, Jake, you invest all the time. Who are you looking at to buy at this point?
I think things I'm looking to buy obviously are like baseball, like Tatis and Acuna. They're super down right now. I think if you can find some decent non-base PSA 10s, I think those are good investments because they're both going to be back, hopefully healthy. Tatis is a little more of a question mark, but Acuna's going to be back with a pretty solid group around him. As far as football goes, I'm looking to pick up all the cheap quarterbacks like the Zach Wilsons, not so much Trey Lance right now, just because I think it's more of an indictment on Trey Lance that he's healthy and they still don't even run a package for him in the 49ers offense.
With Garoppolo
there. And you see, the mighty Garoppolo play. He basically throws a 6-yard screen to Deebo Samuel and he does the rest.
Yeah, it takes it 80 yards and he gets
he throws a 6-yard screen, but he throws it 8 feet over his head where he has to make a miraculous catch first.
Correct.
And then take it 80 yards down the field.
I mean, I think the 49ers, positional group, as they get healthier, I mean, Elijah Mitchell gets back. I mean, they're
good.
They're going to be good. I mean, they have a good offensive-minded coach. So I mean, I think like the Zach Wilsons.
What about Justin Fields? How do you feel about him?
Fields, like I don't know. I'm conflicted because his stuff is actually still pretty high relative to the other quarterbacks. I'm just, obviously, Matt Nagy's gone. Hopefully sooner than later, and they'll start interviewing some guys. But I think if you get a guy like the offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs, I think that would be a fantastic hire. So you can work with, because he's got a very similar skill set to like Mahomes. He's not Mahomes, but he does similar things.
I think Fields needs to run a little more. I'm not saying he needs to be like Lamar Jackson.
No, absolutely not.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he just needs to be able to create a little more, because when they try to make him a pocket passer, I feel like he holds on to the ball too long. But that's always been the knock against Ohio State quarterbacks. Like, they just don't transfer well into the NFL. They're really good college quarterbacks, and they fit their mold, right? And they're national champions, or at least in the running every year. But when they make it to the NFL, they just don't translate.
Well, I think a lot of that deals with the coaches have to do more to appeal to their skill set.
Right.
They're trying to say, hey, you either do this or this. Like, I wasn't good at either of these things in college. You're trying to make me do them in my very first year.
But why would you move up in the draft to draft a guy that you're going to take and be like, hey, man, we drafted you 10th overall. We're going to change your whole game. Oh, okay, cool. Well, why'd you draft me then?
I think the more so is teams get scared as the draft is going along, and they think that when they realize they don't have that franchise quarterback, they get so damn nervous, like, we got to get a quarterback. And they go and get these guys that don't even fit anything they're trying to do.
Right.
It's like, what?
And they got Nagy. He's getting Nagy fired because Nagy says he feels comfortable. He assumes that he's going to be coaching the last 2 games. He just said in a press conference today. But you just watched him. You just watched him bench Justin Fields, who, from what I understand, was healthy. I didn't see him get hurt in that Vikings game the week before.
He was fine.
Yeah, and so he made him an inactive to start Nick Foles, who was your third string quarterback because Dalton was on the COVID list. And so you have Nick Foles starting, and then he goes out and gets the win. So now I don't understand what's going on in Chicago. I don't understand.
Well, and I think it's the misconnect between the people that make the decisions and the personnel decisions and all that, the GM and that stuff, and the coaching staff. If you don't have that cohesive unit where they're making those decisions together, you're going to end up with shit like this in Chicago.
Yep.
That's just what. And same thing in San Francisco. I know they have a good thing going on over there, but he does not look like he fits what they're trying to do.
But Trey Lance is really young. Like, he was the youngest quarterback, I think, out of the 5 guys that got taken in the first round.
I think they're trying to go like the Mahomes route. Like, let's, no matter what, let's just keep sitting him, as much as we can, just so he can keep developing. Because he's got a lot of. You watched him play in like a couple of the games, and he got crushed because he didn't know where the reads were. If it wasn't his first read, he was like, he's freaking out.
Yeah, that offense is in a situation kind of like the Bengals we just talked about, like Elijah Mitchell at running back, even Trey Sermon when he starts to come around a little bit, right? And then Ayuk is still young, Deebo Samuel is still young, Kittle's not that old, especially for a tight end.
Yeah,
I think he's like 27 or 28. So it's like you have these guys that are good skill positions. So let them sit. Like they're gonna possibly make the playoffs with a terrible quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. So why not let the guy sit? It's not hurting you. Right, Trey Lance sit for a year, so let's see what they got on him. But I agree, the same thing with the quarterbacks. Steve did want to add that Matt Stafford right now is his buy. He says he's a fantastic value, Matt Stafford, because you can still get his stuff for cheap. And the way he's playing, if he does like a deep playoff run, with the Rams being like I think the number 3 seed right now, if he ends up having a deep playoff run and they make it to the Super Bowl, that's something you can flip right after the Super Bowl ends.
I think like your Matt Stafford stuff is fine, but I think they're winning in spite of Matt Stafford. He's thrown like 6 interceptions over the last 4 games, 3 in the last game. So,
but the average person sitting watching at home just correlates
winning to quarterback success.
Yeah, they do. They even say like his quarterback win-loss. Like they don't even give it to the team. It's like Matt Stafford's
and with
Cam Akers, 5-2.
Cam Akers is back.
Yeah,
he's coming
for the
back
playoffs.
For the playoffs, and the guy, if he's just anything close to what he was last year, he's a stud.
Yeah, they're going to sit Henderson because he's got kind of banged up. They're looking at his knee right now. So if you got Cam Akers and Sony Michel both taking that spot off, and obviously your receivers are good, you have a good tight end in Higbee. So yeah, he's got weapons around him, and their defense is obviously a solid defense. So
you're gonna. they're going to make a good long run into the playoffs. We'll see what happens. with
Right
that
past the
Rams.
Cowboys.
Wow.
Right,
Okay.
past the
And
boys.
so it's
How about them
so it's
boys?
said again. Speaking of the Rams, OBJ shows up on for the pregame warm-ups wearing his My Twins shirt, and then of course Justin Jefferson's wearing the OBJ. And guess what? The New York Giants blue. You see that? That's when OBJ was actually a decent wide receiver, when he had a Hall of Fame quarterback throwing to him in Eli Manning. Just so you guys all know.
Wow.
That's the reason why OBJ was what he was, because when you have a Hall of Famer throwing you the ball, he puts it where you can catch it. That's what he does. And Eli did that for everybody that played for the Giants.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
He will be. First ballot Hall of Famer.
First ballot.
You can't knock it. He won 2 Super Bowls. He's Super Bowl MVP twice. Put up a huge number, and he has a Manning last name. He's going in.
So you're saying he's going in for because of his brother?
Yes, absolutely.
And his daddy, but yeah. But he's going in for sure. Moving on off my Giants. Can't talk anymore about them this year because they are absolutely dreadful. Jay and I were talking earlier. They just signed. They said Joe Judge will be back next year, and Daniel Jones will also be back. Daniel Jones I'm fine with. Let him come back. It's his last year of his rookie contract. If he doesn't play well, if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, you get off him. He costs you no money. You draft a quarterback. There's no quarterbacks in this year's draft anyways.
Yeah,
so
wait for 2 years for quarterbacks.
This year, there's not really one of those standout quarterbacks that's going to, like, the Trevor Lawrences or the Zach Wilsons that we have for this year.
Yeah, they're not paying him extra money. It's a
Correct.
5th-year option they have on Daniel Jones because he was a first-round pick.
So they have time with him. Bring him back one more year. But Joe Judge, for God's sakes.
He earned it. He earned it.
No, he has shown that he did not earn it.
I'm so happy. As a Cowboys fan, I'm happy they're keeping him.
He's awful. He has zero offensive mind. You have all these weapons. You have Saquon Barkley. You have Kadarius Toney. You have Evan Ingram, and then the guy from Kenny Galladay from the Lions. Like, you have these
terrible
studs.
signing. That was a terrible signing by you guys. I can't believe you gave him all that money.
We did give him a lot of money.
Yeah, that was terrible.
They do nothing with these weapons. Like, how do you I know our offensive line is bad.
Yeah.
We've drafted offensive linemen in the last 2 years, and they both look like they can't play.
And Saquon just shows you the fact that we talked about with Steve in the studio, is that running backs have a very short shelf life.
Yeah.
This dude just cannot stay healthy. He came out of the game again yesterday, and this guy's a generational talent. Like, we all agree, this guy is an absolute stud when he came out of college, out of Penn State. And it just goes to show you, like, he was good, and then now he just cannot stay healthy. And that's the problem with running backs. And that's what sucks about investing in running backs, like you said, is that you're on this pedestal way up here, but it's a very, very short shelf life.
That's why we don't do the long-term investments on any running backs. Nor do we do them on the wide receivers, because they tend to fall way off.
Right.
And you could go out and get the best wide receiver to ever play the game for fairly cheap in Jerry Rice, and most of his autographs and most of his stuff. You probably shouldn't be investing in those guys. Stick to the quarterbacks if you're looking for those long-term investments. Just go buy Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Can anybody go wrong if you just go out and buy Tom Brady stuff?
No.
Anything that you can afford. If you can't afford his autos and his rookie stuff, some of his rookie stuff's fairly cheap still.
Yeah, ungraded, you can still get rookie cards for $40, $50, $60.
Under $100, you can get the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. It's an easy investment.
It's like finding a Babe Ruth in your attic in 50 years, and you're like, oh my God, it's a Babe Ruth.
I can't believe I have this.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to still go out and get these things for
your
under
grandkids.
$100 and put it in your safe deposit box, put it in your safe, whatever you want to do with it, forget about it for the next 50 years. Hopefully your grandkids find it and they're like, who is this guy, Tom Brady?
Was he good?
Yeah, I hope he was good. And you'll come to find out he was the GOAT, and they made a little money, I guarantee it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, this week's obviously going to be a little bit shorter with Steve not here, because Steve likes to
chat.
extend our conversation a lot more than Jay and I. So, and Jake, I don't think you're adding any more info.
Any more value?
No.
No more value.
Zero value.
Yes.
Before we go though, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, let's play this clip.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man, on passing my touchdown record. I have one request. Go get us another Super Bowl. Congrats.
So Aaron Rodgers passed Brett Favre for most touchdowns in Packers history. Did anybody think that wasn't going to happen at
No.
some point? He's probably the number 2 quarterbacks, and he's another guy. I know we just sold some Aaron Rodgers rookie cards last week. One of them was his premier rookie card. It was ungraded, but we sold it for $70. And I'm looking at him like, that seems like a easy buy.
Yeah.
Like $70 on an Aaron Rodgers
For
rookie
sure,
card.
Hall of Famer, yeah.
And I started looking at some of his stuff, and I'm like, his stuff is fairly cheap too for being Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Like, I know a lot of guys don't like him, but he's going to go down as probably number 2 or 3 best quarterbacks to ever play.
Absolutely. I mean, his stuff is real cheap, and he doesn't sign a ton either. Every one of his autographs is 15 or less, 10 or less.
Yeah.
You don't see a ton of Aaron Rodgers stuff, and it's not even in the terrible products, like the low end products. All his stuff is in, flawless, national treasures, impeccable, all the big products. So if you can find some Aaron Rodgers stuff, I mean, I think he's a solid investment because he's going to go somewhere for 2 more years and light it up. I think he's a good buy right now.
I was thinking maybe Pittsburgh. I just see him in that Pittsburgh offense. He looks like he fits to me. When he would go in there and they would go from barely winning these games and barely losing these games like the Steelers do every week to they'd probably win the majority of their games if he went there.
See, I just don't know if he wants to go somewhere like that. He's a California guy. He went to school at Cal, and he was set to go to the 49ers before the draft. He thought the trade was already set up. From what his agent was telling him is that the deal was in place.
Yeah.
And it was that Trey Lance pick that was going to go to the Packers. So they weren't going to draft Trey Lance, and he thought he was going to San Fran. He was pumped about it because he was going back to California, and he was pretty pissed when they did, and that's why he held out. That's why he was so mad. So I don't know if he wants to go to Pittsburgh.
So where do you see him? Because we all know he's not going to be in Green Bay next year.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they go all out? Why wouldn't they make some kind of a deal with Devontae Adams and get him to get his extension? And why would they want to keep that together though?
Oh, I'm sure they do. But being how pissed off Aaron and how prestigious this guy is, he wants out.
I understand, but if he could get Domofsky or whatever his name is, Rob Domofsky, the GM, if he could get him to just admit he was wrong, if he just came out publicly and said, you know what, I messed up, I was wrong, I think that would just make Aaron Rodgers over the moon happy, because he just wants to be right. He never asked for more money. He just wants to be right.
That's probably
so. Just say you were right. You're right, Aaron. You're 100% right. I'm an idiot, and you're the smartest guy in the room. I'm an idiot. I think he'd be okay.
I know. I just see, he's friends with Tom Brady. They play golf all the time together, Aaron and Tom. So it's I just seeing him go to the Bucs and win a Super Bowl, and Aaron in the back of his mind's I want to show these guys it's because of me and not because anybody else. I want to go to a team, win a Super Bowl with that team, and show everybody, look, I can do it again all on my own. That's what I think.
For me, I keep thinking in the back of my mind, it's got to be something like the Broncos.
Very well could be.
I think the Broncos offense.
I would put the Broncos
fantastic.
ahead of the Steelers.
Yeah, I like the 3 wide receivers they have, and Tim Patrick, Big Booty Judy, and Cortland Sutton.
2 good running backs. They have
backs.
Gordon on his way out, and they have Javonte Williams coming up.
Yeah,
so
$7 million, and Melvin Gordon's going away.
Yep.
They got a solid offensive lineman.
Yep.
Their defense is good.
Yeah.
So they have all the pieces there as well, and I don't know. I would see him going to Denver before I see him going to Pittsburgh. Yeah. Pittsburgh is notoriously cheap, so they're not going to pay Aaron Rodgers. They're going to go find the next guy in the draft. That's what they're going to do, and they're going to groom him along, and that's the way it's going to be.
So
they're going to have Mason Rudolph until
Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges for the next.
I'm telling you, Mason Rudolph for the next year until whoever they draft in this upcoming draft.
Okay. I could buy that. I'm just thinking he's gone. He's going to go somewhere. Green Bay better try to keep him. Mm-hmm. They obviously see what happens with Jordan Love. I haven't seen him play well. He hasn't got out there much, but
when he did, he hasn't played well.
He did not look great.
No.
So
that's why Green Bay's got to be we're in big trouble. If we lose you, we're rebuilding for the next 5 years.
Yep. And
because Devontae Adams will walk also.
Oh, any of their stars will be gone.
Devontae Adams will be a Raider next year.
Ooh. Him going back up, linking up with Derek Carr.
Absolutely.
Fresno State days.
Yeah.
We used to watch him carve up our UNLV Rebels, man.
What if Rodgers comes to Vegas and says, Devontae, I'll go to Las Vegas if you come with me?
We'll send Derek Carr to Green Bay.
No state tax. No state tax. Let's go to Las Vegas and tear things up. We got Rodgers and Adams.
DC4.
If you're Derek Carr, how pissed off would you be? You get shipped out. Your number one wide receiver comes to your city, and you get shipped off to Green Bay. Like, see you later. I would be so pissed.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, boys. Well, that's it for us this week.
Wait, 2 things really fast in fantasy. Make sure you go out and get Darrell Williams because CEH hurt his shoulder, and they're looking at MRIs today. But it looks like he's going to miss the next 2 weeks. And then also James Robinson's out. And double check and make sure Burrow is going to be okay this week because Brandon Allen, his backup, just got put on the COVID list. So usually those quarterback rooms are kind of tight. So just keep an eye because if you're in your championship round for your fantasy playoffs,
be watching that.
You want Joe Burrow in the lineup.
100
Burrow.
Especially after this last weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have my rundown in front of me, so I skipped over Jay's fantasy roundup.
There wasn't a whole lot to go over. And you're in your championship, you're there for a reason.
I'm not, so who gives a shit?
That's why you skipped right over
That's
it.
right, I jumped right over it and we're on. All right, boys, that's it for episode number 9. We'll see you guys back here next week. Merry Christmas to everybody that was here. We do have a huge baseball product coming out this week. It's Bowman Draft. One of the best baseball products, besides Bowman Chrome, in my opinion, that comes out this year. Is absolutely loaded. It has all the studs that were just drafted.
Less pitchers, and
we don't know that yet.
Not sure.
We don't know that yet because the total checklist has not came out. But we do know that it's going to be loaded with the top 2 draft picks: the kid from the Red Sox and the kid from the Pirates, the catcher. So those 2 guys will be in it. They have their Bowman Chrome First Autos in it. So get ready to grab that product. We just got 9 cases in today. We'll have about 25 cases in the store this week. So we'll be doing a ton of breaks. The guys are going to love us for shipping and sorting that. It's always a fun rip and ship.
Angry Dave.
Angry Dave will be excited. The Warehouse Boys will be very excited this week. All right, boys, have a good week. We'll see you back right after the new year. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you then.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.